Hello. Welcome back to my channel. I am Monae and you are watching Life is Monae. So I want new favorites outside of the favorites that I already have, of course, and then I also want favorites outside of my usual fantasy genre. On my channel, you guys will start to see a series of videos where I start to explore different genres outside of my norm, where I am trying to discover new favorites. And so in the spirit of that, I have a thriller haul because I have just been in a thriller mood lately. I have collected quite a few thrillers. I have read, loved, and hated more often than not a couple of thrillers that I have recently read, but I wanted to share with you guys some of the ones that I have added to my collection that I am making my way through because I am on the hunt for a new fave, maybe a couple of new fave in the thriller department. So if you guys watched my last haul, you saw me add a couple of like psychological thrillers by Blake Crouch. I also had The Push on that last haul as well. So there have been other thrillers that I've purchased outside of this video that have already been mentioned on my channel that I won't add. I just wanted to put that out there so you guys keep that in mind, that there are some thrillers that I already own that won't be in this video, but are still a part of the collective. Okay, so first up, I bought Allegedly, and this now will be completing my Tiffany D. Jackson collection because I own Allegedly, I own Let Me Hear a Rhyme, I own Monday That's Not Coming, and I own Grown. And so I plan to be jumping into all of her writing. So you guys know me, when I come across an author that I want to jump into, I definitely just torpedo all of their past works, and so Tiffany D. Jackson will be no different. Tiffany D. Jackson has a new release called White Smoke coming out, and it's supposed to be like a Haunting of the Hill meets Get Out type book, and I am excited for that. I'm anticipating that release. I don't want that to be the first Tiffany D. Jackson book that I jump into. So all 4 of the backlisted books will be read by the time that that book comes out. Who knows? I may even do a vlog because all of her thriller type books are YA, and so they're pretty short and easy to get through. So maybe I could do a vlog of me reading all 4, and hopefully I get a new YA fave because I actually don't have a lot of YA type thrillers. I mean, I've read Truly Devious. I know that that's a thriller, but that's not really much to go off of. So I'm hoping that this, at least one of the 4 or possibly 5 if you count the new release, is a good one so that I can be as amored with her writing as everyone else. The next book that I have is They Never Learn by Lane Fargo. I purchased this in plans to buddy read with Chanel from Chanel Time, and we have actually already read it, but there's going to be a separate video where I review all the thrillers that I've read so far, so just watch my channel. It should be coming within like a week or maybe 2 weeks. You'll see it very soon where I actually give my thoughts on this book, but for right now, we're just going to do synopsis. I probably should have did that for Allegedly, but except I don't know the synopsis. I know that there is a girl in this book who is accused of killing a child, and we're following, I think, them in the present sense and also them in the past, trying to uncover what happened to the murder of this child and if this teenage girl who is in jail for the crime actually committed it. That's pretty much all that I know. Or maybe she's in a group home. She's either in jail or in a group home, or maybe she went to jail and now she's in a group home. Who knows? We'll discover when we get to that. For They Never Learn, we are following this professor at this university, and she is a serial killer, and she targets specifically men who have been accused of sexual assault or rape. Pretty much no justice has been provided to the victims, and so she takes justice and matters into her own hands, and she starts to kill men. And something occurs in this book where basically she's on the verge of being discovered, and so we just kind of follow her. I feel like the less you know about this book, the better. We do have one younger girl that we're following who's actually in school right now, and there's a lot of trigger warnings for this book because, again, we're targeting men who have raped or sexually assaulted women. And so you have one girl who is in school, and she has a roommate who's kind of like a party girl, and she's fun, and everybody loves her, and she's like the center of attention, and things happen with her. We follow stuff that's happening with the professor too, so we're following 2 different POVs in terms of like timelines. The professor is bisexual in this book, so we do have some sapphic representation in this book, and it does happen on page. And actually we have more than one sapphic character in this book, which I thought was really fun. And so yeah, Lane Fargo has 2 books out, and I believe both of her books, this They Never Learn and Temper, came out in 2020 together. yeah, I think both of her books came out within the same year. And so I enjoyed this one enough to get Temper on audio from my library on Libby. So I will be listening to Temper, and so that has been officially added to like this search for like my new favorite thrillers, but I won't have a physical copy, so I won't be hauling that. But I did want to let you guys know that I will be reading Temper, and just be on the lookout for that review because I'll try to update that as I go. This is another book that me and Chanel read together, and that is going to be For Your Own Good by Samantha Downing. I also read already My Lovely Wife, which is the other book that this author has written. I believe there's another book called He Started It First, and there's also an Audible exclusive that looks to be only like an hour or 2 hours long with like a novella. And so I do plan to get through those books as well. But so far I have read For Your Own Good and My Lovely Wife. In this book we follow a teacher named Teddy Croucher, and Teddy is annoyed with the lack of perfection in his life. He wants his students to achieve greatness, all around greatness, not just on paper. And so he can be a tough teacher, a tough critic, and everyone is kind of like annoyed by him, but he's also annoyed with them, and so that's okay. And so bodies start to drop at this school because Teddy is determined to get his kids on the right path in their life and to get them on the life of, like I said, all around perfection, not just in school, but to be a good student, to be a good learner, to show good sportsmanship, just to be an all-around good person is what Teddy expects from his students, no matter what the cost. We'll say, though, that this book was marketed as a thriller, but even though I have already read the book, I will tell you that this is not really a thriller. It's more so like a parody, satire, humorous fiction with, I don't even know if it was like ever thrilling. There is sort of like a mystery or like suspense within the book. I do think that this was like improperly categorized. If you have read or seen Finlay Donovan Is Killing It, this book is almost the same in terms of it being like humorous fiction with like a mystery suspense aspect to it, but it's not really a thriller. And so I did enjoy it. I do recommend it, but I don't want you to purchase it thinking that it's a thriller because it was definitely not marketed correctly. And I'm learning that about thrillers, period, is that thriller is subjective. And a lot of times the books, I feel like, get bad rep because they aren't thriller. And then the thrillers that are in the thriller category honestly kind of suck. And so you'll see that in my review where I talk about the thrillers that have put me through it, that I did not have fun reading. We need to come to the table and talk about what a thriller is and what's a part of it and what's not, and just market it accordingly because, yeah, the thriller genre is really struggling out here. So the next books I have not read, and so we're going to start with The Night Swim by Megan Goldwyn. I purchased this because I have been on a thriller binge with Chanel, and so there were some books that I purchased that Chanel had already read and recommended to me, and there were some that we were kind of like looking on Goodreads and kind of scouting for that we hadn't read or heard anything really about, and we decided to read together. This is one that Chanel was like, hands down, is one of the best thrillers that she's read so far this year, and I actually don't know the synopsis of this one, and I don't want to. I know that this was a book of the month choice. I believe it was. So I have seen good reviews for it on Goodreads. Most of the people that I know who have read it did enjoy it. They did like it. But I want to go into this one really not knowing anything, because another gripe that I have with the thriller genre is that they give away too much in the synopsis. And so you go into the book knowing like what the ultimate end game or like the ultimate point of the book is. And so when it doesn't hit the points accordingly, I find myself to be very disappointed and underwhelmed with what's happening. And so I feel like maybe I'll get a thrill from just opening the book and not knowing what to expect and having no expectations about it and just kind of seeing where the story goes. And I am all for reading a book blindly. That's my favorite way to do it. But I'm coming to the conclusion that with thrillers, I definitely need to go in blind, because the ones that I knew less about were the ones that I tended to enjoy more. Except The Maidens, that sucked ass. Okay, so the next book I have is called Sometimes I Lie. So from what I know about this book is that we have this main character who wakes up in a hospital after being in a coma, and they either refuse to talk or open their eyes or move or anything like that, or they physically can't. And so they're just listening to what's happening around them, which sounds really boring, because if my main character is just gonna lay in the bed and not move or look or speak, that doesn't sound like a good time to me, but it is very short. So hopefully we run through it, and I'm hoping that it looks to be 250 pages. I hope that she's not laying in the bed the whole 250 pages or something, because another point to the synopsis mentioned that she is trying to decide if her being in the coma was an accident or if someone put her there, if that someone was her husband or her sister, and whether or not her husband and her sister are having an affair with each other, and maybe they were just trying to get rid of her. I don't know, but again, I hope that she's just not sitting comatose in a bed for 250 pages, because that's going to get a whopping 1 star. It better be gripping and suspenseful, and I just better be attached to the book. If not, at least it won't be as long as The Woman in the Window, because that book was so long and so boring. So I mentioned on my channel a couple videos back that I prefer my romance books to be short, because what else is there? You meet, you fall in love, you probably rub body parts, you have a 30-day breakup, everybody goes home. I don't know why my romance needs to be 400 or 500 pages. Don't know why. I am taking that and I'm applying it to my thriller. I'm here for a good time, not a long time. Make it short, make it thrilling, and like, let's pack it up and go home, guys. And then, of course, I cannot jump into the thriller genre without picking up a book by Riley Sager. So I did pick up Survive the Night. Again, trying to know as little as possible about these books. We have a woman who is, I think, at college or on a campus. Somewhere there is a murderer on the loose, and she's taking an Uber, and she gets in the car, and she suspects that her Uber or taxi driver is the murderer that is on the loose. And so she's kind of doing her own investigations from the backseat of this car. Hope she's not back there the whole time. You see where I'm going with this. Sometimes I lie. I need things to happen. I need us to be moving. I don't know for how many pages you can leave someone lying in a bed, not talking, moving, or speaking to anyone. I don't know how long you can leave someone in the back of the car, because how are they going to investigate? How are you going to conduct your research from the backseat of a car? Don't know. Yeah, it said that Charlie has nowhere to run and no way to call for help. Trapped in a terrifying game of cat and mouse played out on the pitch black roads in neon lit parking lots, Charlie knows the only way to win is to survive the night. Sis better be running through Tarjay and Wally World and all types of things, because if not, I'm going to find myself rather bored. The next book that I have by Riley Sager is going to be The Last Time I Lied. I have heard from 2 people who have read majority, if not all, of his books, and they have all kind of said that The Last Time I Lied is one of the best books that he's written. I do not know the synopsis of this one at all, because I want to give this as much room for growth as possible. And so if this is the best he has, I'm going to go into it blindly, and I'm just here for the party, okay? And we're gonna see how it goes. This looks to be about 370 pages, and I plan to get to this one really soon, because all of the thrillers that I have that are not Riley Sager, I'm getting down to the end of. I don't have many of them left, so Riley Sager is going to be an author that I kind of pick up and run through as much as I can stomach his writing, and in hopes that it's not terrible, and we'll see. I don't know what counts as a mini haul. I tried to give a mini haul a while back on my Instagram, and the people were inboxing me saying, ma'am, that's not a mini. I think mini has to be 4 books at the most. This is more than 4, so I'm going to call this a small haul. Small haul? Yeah. And then the last book that I have by Riley Sager is going to be Final Girls. From what I know about this book is that we have a character who went on a trip or was with a group of friends, and this character is the only person that survived an incident that happened that left most of their friends or the people that they were with murdered. And time jumps forward. I believe there's like a decade or maybe 5-7 years later, we have another murder that occurs that drags our main character back into it, and they must relive the night where they survived as the final girl. So hopefully one of these hits. I do have a review up already where I read The Woman in the Window, The Silent Patient, and The Maidens, and Falling, which I adored Falling. It was actually a thriller. The other ones I didn't have so much of a good time with, but I will link that up in the card. I can go watch my first part of embarking on this journey for me to find thrillers that I'm interested in. Also, stay tuned for the review of the thrillers that I have read since that video. And I'm also going to put not only the books that I read so far in the thriller genre and which ones I liked and didn't like, but I'm also going to tell you guys what's up next in the queue for me to read until we make our way all the way through it. Thanks for watching my video. I will see you guys next time. Bye.